Welcome to What CEOs Talk About. Do you wonder what CEOs talk about behind closed doors? How they bring their vision to reality? How do they overcome and succeed through adversity? We share that and so much more with each episode. Now, let's get started with the show.
Hello, this is Martin Hunter, your host of the What CEOs Talk About show, where we talk about translating strategies into frontline operations. Our past guests include Dominic Rubino, Profit Tool Belt, Jeff Livingston, Norver Visuals, and Sebastian Knott of Black Tie Property Services. This episode is brought to you by Urgio. Urgio is Latin for to urge, a strong desire to drive change, stimulate thought, incite feeling, encourage action. Urgio provides fractional COO services to move you through growing pains so that your company can flourish and profit. Michael, have you had the opportunity to work with a visionary CEO?
I have, Martin. Yes, indeed. Really great guy and also close friend of London, England.
Oh, really? Oh, these guys, right? Guys and girls. How do they monetize their vision, right? They do that with an integrator who can take that idea across the finish line, right? So if you want that integrator to help you monetize your idea as a CEO, or if you're the VC of a company that has a visionary CEO at the helm of one of your companies, go to urgio.ca or email at info@urgio.ca. Urgio has worked with a multitude of companies in SaaS, CPG, mining, transportation, from startup all the way to large multinational corporations. Today, our guest, Michael Austin. Thank you. Michael is originally from BC's interior, so it's not interior of a box. For those who don't know British Columbia, it is the interior of the province, which is a beautiful country, wine country, Okanagan Valley. And then he built his marketing career in London, England. Big jump, right? From being a country boy to going in the big city in England. He worked with big consumer brands. He'll talk about that a little bit more. And then he missed the great outdoors. He missed the mountains, missed the ocean. He's like, okay, I got to get back home. So back to Vancouver with additional luggage, a beautiful British wife, right? And is now the CMO, Chief Marketing Officer at ArcticPharm in the Yukon. Lives in BC, but is the CMO for ArcticPharm in the Yukon. Michael, what's the topic that we're going to put at the middle of the plate today for this episode?
For me, Martin, something that rings true in every company, every brand, is being true to your brand.
Okay. Being true to your brand. So there's a couple of things that being true. So what does being true mean to you? Let's start the conversation there.
I think to me, it's being honest about who you are as individuals, and then coming together as an organization and representing that in your company and your brand and your product. And that might be just obvious for some companies, and it might take a little work to find it. But I think when you do find it, it's what sets you apart and is what builds brands.
Okay. So let's talk about that. So when you started working, so you moved from Vancouver or the interior, you went over there, right? You went across the pond in England. Talk about a big jump. What did the big companies do well for brand? What did they do well?
I think they know what their brand means to the consumers or to their audience, whoever that is.
Mike, can you get closer to your mic a little bit?
Sorry, Martin, can you hear me better now?
Yeah, much better. Thank you.
So I think they know what their brand is about. These are established blue chip
Correct.
companies. They've been around for 50 years plus, and they know they've been through change. They've been through the ups and downs of building a company, and they've figured it out. And for those that have that very strong brand identity, they hold true to it. So it's a good litmus test, right? If it's not right for the brand, then it's probably not right for the company. So
good.
I think that's what the big guys do really well, and then they spend a lot of money to do that, obviously, and hire a lot of smart people to help them do it. But I think it really comes down to that simple fact that if you hold true to your brand, then that's where your consumers have bought into. So then you should be in a good place.
Let's jump right into it. So how do you translate that into frontline operations? How do you make sure that you go, okay, here's my brand, and we'll talk about ArcticPharm a little bit later on.
Sure.
How is my brand? Here's my brand. How does that relate to frontline operations?
Well, it comes down to a few things. So, one, everyone has to understand it in
Okay.
terms of your employees. So, everyone has to understand what that brand is and what it means, so that they can enable that through their jobs. So, from a marketing point of view, it's about understanding how to bring that brand to life in the different channels that we have today. So, virtual, digital, physical, and really ensuring that every touch point with the customer is on brand, and adding something to it, right? Adding value to the experience. So in today's world, it's not about advertising. It's not about a one-way communication. It's about an experience. So
Hmm.
our consumers are expecting more than just a message from a brand. They're expecting something that they can relate to and have an emotional connection to and have an
Hmm.
experience with. So I think the first thing is making sure that everyone in your company understands the brand and what it means, and then from a marketing point of view, bringing it out to those different touch points in a way that's meaningful to the consumer.
I guess people are. We just kind of upgraded to our service provider, and because we've been so good with them, they gave us this access to TV. We haven't had cable in our house for, I mean, since we moved away from Canada, what,
Cord
almost
cutting.
18 years ago. So they sold that to us. So do you think that the power of the commercial is gone?
No, no, by no means. I think there's still a place for broadcast, brand communications, and it's just a matter, I think, of figuring out how to get it to the audience. That's the hard part now, right? So, how do you ensure that that 30-second spot that you've spent millions on is actually getting in front of the right people? And there's a lot of intelligent media options out there now that can do that for you. So no, by no means. I think there's still a very, very important part to play for broadcast.
If
And yeah, so sorry,
if
Mark.
I break down being true, there's a sense of action in there,
Yeah,
right? So being true means there's a state
yeah.
in there. So y- tell me, what do you think of being true to your brand means? What from the CEO all the way down? What does a CEO who's listening to this, he says, okay, yeah, right, Michael, yeah, 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 being true to my brand, blah blah blah. What do you expect the CEO when you say, hey, as a chief marketing officer, I suggest that you be true to your brand? What does it look like for him or her? What are you telling them? What coaching are you providing them?
Um, I think they need to question whether they are uh, actually bringing their brand to life and connecting with their customers, rather than just putting a message out there, putting a face out there. What's that relationship with their customer look like, and are they exceeding expectations of the customer along the way, right? Everything through from actual product development, if you're a product company or a service company, through to customer service. All those different points where your customer is engaging with your brand, they have to all be living that same message, right? So for me, it's really about for the CEO rather, it's really about um, ensuring that the business is firing on all cylinders across the different disciplines. It's not just marketing's job to build a brand.
Okay.
We're the ones that can help make the connections in the right places, but the company is the brand, right? So it's really about ensuring that all of those moving parts are in line.
Okay. Let's start talking about, let's crack open, let's light up the cannabis industry right here.
Yeah.
So So
Fired up.
we've got the launch in Canada of the legalization of marijuana now 2 years in now, I think we're at started
Yeah, coming into effect.
2018 or 19. Yeah, 19. Um, what were they what did the first company that came out of the gate red hot do for brand? What was their strengths? What were their weaknesses? Where's the industry at? Where did it go? Where did it go? Let's start with the positives first. Who did what well in regards to being true to their brand in the cannabis industry?
Yep. Are you with me, Martin?
Yeah, I'm with you.
Oh,
Did you
sorry.
freeze up for a
Thought it
sec? Yeah.
froze there for a second. All good. Well, I think before I go into, I think for me the biggest positive is that there's so much opportunity right now.
Okay.
It's such a new market. One of the brand values we have at ArcticPharm is pioneering, and we're we're right in the middle of that kind of phase right now. I'd say the beginning of that in the cannabis industry. There's companies out there, and I don't know if you want me to name actual names,
Sure,
but
I don't mind. Yeah, absolutely. We can give them a shout out. We'll say, hey, we talked about you on our podcast.
I think one company I really look to is TGOD, is the Green Organic Dutchman, and they're a
Okay.
really interesting company out of East, and they have very good focus on a very few product SKUs. So high quality products, organic in nature, and really, haven't done too much like some of the
Hmm.
bigger guys have done, where they put themselves in a bit of a
Overexerted their SKUs. Yeah.
yeah. So they really focus in. I think right now I could be wrong, but I think you can buy about 12 different SKUs on the BC cannabis website from this brand, and everything is tight. Their packaging, their messaging, their
What do
everything
you
is
mean by tight? What do you mean by tight?
everything you see from them, is them. It's
Okay.
the brand is very strong in terms of it's how it's been executed. It's visual presence.
Okay.
Their
So the
pack.
execution, right? So it's when we think about being true to the brand, because
Mhm.
now we're into the day-to-day operations. The common look and feel of the material is branded. The
Correct.
box is branded,
Yeah,
right?
and
So
that's
you
hard. That's hard to do in the cannabis industry. There's a lot of restrictions around what you can and can't do in packaging and advertising and marketing. So it's not an easy challenge to surmount for sure.
so for those who missed that, um, Michael said they're east. So for people who live in BC, anything east of the Rockies is east. So if you
Yeah,
live
that's
in
right.
Manitoba, if you live in Alberta, you're still considered east to the Pacific culture. Uh, so yeah, so they're tight. Okay, so who else has been being true to their brand in the cannabis industry straight out the gate?
I think another really interesting one in on this side of the Rockies is Whistler Tech.
Okay.
It's an amazing story. They've been around for a while, and they not only produce product, but they also are really involved in the processing side of the equation. So they are heavily investing in technology to process cannabis into concentrates, so that those concentrates can be used in a multitude of ways. And they're pioneering that in a way. They're creating actual processes and machinery to do that. So for them, they've really focused in on a particular part of the process of the value chain for
Mhm.
and for them, that's their brand is really focused in on that kind of organic, natural um, concentrate. So they're being true. They're really doubling down on where they can add the most value in that long list of things in the value chain, um, and doing a great job.
So I would assume I don't like the word competitor. I like the word rival. So
Yeah, partner in some
in
instances.
some instances, so okay, so you've named two that have succeeded well right out the gate, being true to their brand. How about the 98 other ones? Where have they
Yeah.
failed?
yeah, and you know, like any new industry, you know, there's going to be a bit of an explosion at the beginning, and
Hmm.
I think, you know, it's there's no one winning right now in the
Hmm.
cannabis space, and when it comes to brand, I mean.
Yeah,
So
yeah, okay.
if you look at other industries, I can name any industry, food and beverage or transportation.
Hmm.
You, I'm sure you could name a leading
Absolutely.
brand in every category. That's pretty hard to do in cannabis overall. You know, if you
The
just
only brand they had was the pre legalization was the brand was like who's my guy, right?
yeah. No, and so now you walk into any of the cannabis shops, the licensed retailers, or into the BC cannabis stores in the Yukon, and you know, you just see the same thing, you know, across, you know, the shelves. And consumers haven't really voted with their wallets
Hmm.
yet in terms of who that leader is, and it's that's exciting. But it I guess it's not. It's hard to point a finger to say they didn't do something well. I
Hmm.
think it's more that it's just the industry is still evolving. So
Hmm.
companies are figuring it out. But also, I think you got to look at, you know, the cannabis industry and the companies that are out there and what their teams look like. And you know, a lot of these shops started out, or LPs started out as, you know, a guy that maybe was doing this in the illicit market, and jumped on board with the legalization, and great for them. But I
With
think,
no business skills, great
yeah,
grower, great on the corner, but doesn't have necessarily know what the APAR, what a P&L is, and
exactly. So you know, and some of them are doing great, and I wish the best to them. But I think, you know, now is the time when things are settling down a bit now, and I mean, you don't have to look very far at any cannabis company now to see there's some serious weight coming into the sea level, and you know, it's anyone's game right now, and lots of people are going to be able to win at it, which is the exciting thing. And I think, yeah, if you're true to who you are as a company and your brand, and you can bring that to life, then you're going to have a good shot at having some brand relevancy in the market.
so tell me about this itsy bitsy little farm that has a
Yeah,
sparkle of gold north of 60 called Arctic Farm.
yeah, indeed. Super exciting. And Arctic Farm, you know, started a few years ago with our CEO, Chris Hornborough, and the vision he had of, you know, the ability to harness the magic of the Yukon to create an amazing cannabis product. You know, we look at the growing conditions north of 60, and actually it seems counterintuitive, but and I'll let our COO and our master grower tell you about this. But they, you know, they're actually optimal humidity conditions, and so forth for growing cannabis. So it gives us a really good opportunity to create a organic, naturally processed product at a you know, lower cost because of the ability to harness the frozen north to keep our product frozen over the winter, and to control humidity during the summer. So super exciting kind of technical story. But I think the more exciting part for me is everything that the north brings to the imagination. So
Hmm.
you know, the pioneering spirit of the Yukoners is still very alive today.
Very alive,
Not to
yes.
go very far and down the main street of Whitehorse.
Southerners, right? Southerners. Anybody south of 60, you're a Southerner. Like,
Yeah,
oh my goodness, what we think is Arctic conditions, they consider south out there. So very, but warm people, very welcoming people for sure.
yeah,
But they're eh,
yeah,
like you said, pioneering spirit, right? They share everything, they make do with everything, they adapt, overcome. It's just pioneering spirit is like kind of entrepreneurial spirit. It's very powerful. A lot of people overuse it,
yeah,
but I believe that it's very powerful in its vocabulary,
yeah.
as you say it, right?
And yeah, it's kind of the norm up there, right? Like most people
Hmm.
have got their fingers in a few different things, and I think, you know, so there's that, there's the environment to be pioneering.
Yeah.
There's there's the natural environment. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
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 true. Oh,
incredible.
damn. I was up there, man. It is
Yeah,
absolutely gorgeous.
yeah, yeah.
Gorgeous.
And our farm's located right in the heart of all that, right? And we have the Takini River flowing by,
Hmm.
feeding our irrigation. We have the natural cooling airs coming through. The farm's in a valley, so it's coming through. The cooling air is coming through to help with humidity levels. So ideal. It's actually it's an organic farm. It's been certified for years, and it's previously produce. So it's proven itself as a great growing place. And our master grower, uh, John Leonard, will put it to the test. He can grow anything anywhere, so he'll do
He
great.
grew apples. For those people who are listening, I had an apple from Dawson City. Look it up on Google. Google Map Dawson City, and you'll see how close it is to the Arctic. And this guy John grew an apple. We had peppers that were Arizona style peppers. He grew those, and just an amazing person. And if there's somebody that can make it happen, I'm sure he will. I mean, it's
Yeah,
just absolutely gorgeous. So Natural is the second brand I think you mentioned there.
yeah, yeah. So you bring the environment together with the spirit of the
Hmm.
area, the spirit of the staff, of the people that are building this business.
Hmm.
You combine that with the fact that we're not just a cannabis farm is an important thing to state. Actually, I don't think about Arctic Farm as a cannabis farm, and I think that's an important note. Is our brand is Arctic Farm as a whole in the Yukon. We are a natural organic way of life,
Hmm.
and it's there's going to be more to the story. We're also looking at solar energy and using harnessing the power of the sun in those long sun days in the Arctic summers, to power the farm and to sell back to the grid, to give back to the Yukon, business community, and there's a few other things in the works. I can't really talk too much about, but it's
Oh.
the story is really exciting. And so for me, Arctic Farm is not it's not just cannabis. That's
Hmm.
one part of it, but a super exciting part of it. I think the product that we're going to be bringing out of there, and it is not going to be just flour and oil, right? I think for us those are important, but for us, we want to figure out how to create prosperity in the cannabis industry in North America. And there's a lot of opportunities, new product
Hmm.
opportunities shaping up. We've gone through cannabis 2.0. Now we're coming. Cannabis 3.0 will be next, right? So, what do those products look like? The
A
health and wellness.
yeah, a lot of people are forgetting. A lot of people think that cannabis is just about weed and smoking joints. It is not.
That's a small
It
part of it.
is not. I got a gift in my right knee, as a very ancient rugby player who's put his body through thick and thin. I got a Secret Santa that was a little bit of a THC oil that I've been running on this really bummed out knee, and it's been doing magical. So I can just imagine the opportunity for B2B to be able to leverage your brand promise of um, organic and
Organic
and
and natural.
naturally grown, right? So why? So then that's for those who are listening, and those who are watching. I don't know if you noticed how Michael got really excited when he was talking about his brand, and I think that's a reflection of the state of mind that is attached to what he was saying earlier, where he's very much, you know, chief marketing officer. Here's the tactics, here's the strategies, la di da di da. This is what you need to do. Then we talk about Arctic Farm, his company, his participation, and the twinkle in his eye. You're like, oh my goodness, there it is. That's being true to your brand. So now we talk about. So there's a lesson. I mean, you can see it. You can see when people are being true to the brand, how excited you are in your speech and your language and your body. Your body shifted closer to the camera.
Yeah.
So
Well,
That's lesson number one for all these CEOs that are listening, right?
it's grounded, and that's because it's grounded in truth, right? Like you talk to the CEO, talk to the COO, myself, all everybody at Arctic Farm, they all will get excited about that because that is why they started the company, and that
Mm-hmm.
is everybody shares some of these. Well, another word for it, shared ideals, right? So
Mm-hmm.
we have these certain beliefs and values as people. And we all kind of grew up in a similar place and knew each other to a certain degree. And so I think we all just naturally had a lot of shared values,
Mm-hmm.
shared ideals. And if we can embody the brand with that, and that's what we're attempting to do, then we'll have something dear to our hearts that you only have to find the consumers out there with the same shared ideals,
Mm-hmm.
and then it's just natural that connection is there. Then
A lot of people think that you have to sell to the whole world.
no,
No, if you capture a small percentage of the market, as long as you, people think that wealthy is volume. That's not true.
mm, yeah,
Wealth is making more than you spend. That's as simple as that. So it doesn't mean that you have to, your profit margin has to be 30%. It's just as long as you're breaking even and everybody's getting paid and you've got some prosperity in it, that's key. I think that what you're saying in regards to living the values is more important because that can be behavioral.
yeah,
So for those who are listening, it's important to understand that behavioral, like having a code of conduct. And here, let me start over. What I'm saying here is that when your core values are matched to your brand promise, it is a transparent organization.
yeah,
Okay. So imagine, and I, this is going to come out wrong, but I'll say it anyways. If you have somebody who works in the fitness industry, right? And let's just take Nike and you go, let's do it. And you got a couch potato, like somebody who just doesn't do anything. Is that living your brand promise through your core values? Your core values might be optimism and hard work and all that good stuff, but if you're not matching your core values to your brand promises, there's something, there's a disconnect in your just cause or your purpose.
yeah. From
So
right out of the gates, yeah.
exactly, right? So if your, so your core, are your core values different than your brand promises or are they the same?
No, they're the same.
They're the exact the same, right? So you want everybody within the organization to have that pioneering spirit. Damn, tractor's not starting. What do I do? It's minus 50.
Exactly. No, it's. I mean, obviously, we're never going to have
Of
every single
course, of course,
person,
of course.
but I think certainly the leadership need to live those values and be able to what's the word I'm looking for, emote that.
Demonstrate,
Exactly.
live.
Yeah.
So, two things, lessons here.
Mm,
Having a solid just cause,
yeah.
excuse me, having a solid purpose, right? So, don't mix purpose with vision statement. The purpose of the company from Arctic Farm currently is to grow cannabis, process cannabis, and sell cannabis. It's
Yeah.
not sexy, but that is the purpose of the company. Now, you can put adjectives to it, but then that's what you can go in your annual operating plan. You can go in your AOP and provide a yearly statement. By December 31st, 2021, we will do this by that. I believe that now with COVID, instead of having a very long and not connecting vision mission statement, you have to bring it back down to a year now. It's hard to put 5-10 years down the road. Just living every day, your core values are more important than putting them on the wall. So
Mm,
anyways, so you go down the list, you get your big, hairy, audacious goals, your whatever you achievements you want to call it, your rocks, depending on what system you have, and then the core values. And you put the core values against your brand promises and you say, how tight are we?
mm,
And so having a solid employee playbook, a solid code of conduct that reflects those behaviors that are attached to those brand promises. And sorry, that was a long, but that's a huge lesson that I think that we can pull from this to saying, hey, oh, let's do this. And sometimes you get too busy that they focus. Cause I think, Mike, you guys had a bit of an issue, right? You didn't have clear direction about a year ago. where everybody was kind of scattered and say, let's grow pot, let's grow weed. What do we do with it? Right.
Yeah.
Was that the case?
Yeah, certainly some of that. I think it took a while to and
Hmm.
some leadership support to really get everybody aligned and working towards that same north star.
Hmm.
And
Haha.
I think we're in a good place now. We're very excited. There's this new year is going to bring a lot of opportunity for the business to move things forward and to start to expand our thinking a bit in terms of where we want the, the brands to go, not alone the
Yeah,
product.
because you guys are going to start growing this year, right? This
We
year
are.
is going to be your first season
Yeah.
growing, right?
Yes, it is. Yeah, that was coming soon.
Faster than we think, right? Faster
Around
than
the
we think.
corner. Not
So
even
tell me, let's
there.
talk about, let's bring it back to your rivals. So we talked about being true to your brand. So how is it, can you play in the same area as, what do they call it, the Green Dutchman?
The Green Organic Dutchman, sure.
Yeah, Green
Yeah,
Organic Dutchman. And what was the other one? Whistler Corporation
was-
or?
yeah, yeah. Certainly, I think and some of it has to do with where we're going to focus on our product strategy, and we're going to have the base products there that are going to be in direct competition with the rivals that you call them, right?
Yes,
So
rivals, not
yeah,
competitors, rivals, because rivals always push you to become better. Competitors is just like one of the rival is like Peter Pan and Captain Hook, right? They're rivals. Peter Pan, Captain Hook made Peter Pan better, right? So
I think the really interesting part in the cannabis space right now is that there's just every day there's like a new product coming out, right?
it's
Not
true. Yeah.
that frequent, but brands are inventing new things. And as the regulations open up, that'll even become easier. So it's about where are those customers that share our ideals and our values, what do they want from cannabis, right? What is it
Mm.
that is you know interesting for them? What problem do they have that they want to solve? Is it pain? Is it anxiety? Is it sleep deprivation
Oh,
or
consumers. Okay, consumers. What the consumers want, right?
exactly? So
Okay.
like we were saying a little while ago, the health and wellness industry is super exciting
Oh yeah, I guess yeah. Eh?
for the industry. So how many years have we been popping pills, right? Like if we can find a way to use the power of Mother Nature and the power of the that Yukon magical environment to create a product that can cure ailments, that's for us at Arctic Farm, the future. So
Mm.
yeah, we're a cannabis company. Yeah, we'll sell flower and oil for recreational purposes. Yeah, but that's such a small part of where this can go. And the industry knows that, and it's about who's investing the time and the energy to figure out where those future opportunities are.
Positioning the brand is important as well, right?
Hmm.
So where do you fit your company into the food chain, if you want to call it that?
Yeah.
Not everybody can be everything. I think one of
No.
the downfalls of these Ontario based, I mean, I don't want to pinpoint Ontario's because it's just because just by volume, they had more, but they invested a lot and they tried to be a fully siloed
Yeah.
through and throughout
Vertically integrated. Yeah.
vertically integrated company, and it has completely dissolved,
Oh yeah.
exploded, disintegrated, call it whatever you want. So I think like the food industry, right? When you talk about consumer packaged goods, right? You're not good to everything, right? So focus on, not everybody can be a Nestle,
Yeah.
right? So where do you see Arctic Farm? Play words on farm, by the way. It's PHARM. So
Right.
Arctic Farm as in pharmaceutical, but also as in Arctic Farm as in natural. So well done. Chief Marketing
I can't
Officer.
take credit for that.
Oh no, you can't.
That's before my time. Yeah.
I was going to say, damn, that's smart. So where do you see Arctic Farm
Yeah.
in the supply chain? Are you
It,
guys going to go straight to retail, go
nope.
B2B, go D2C?
We
What?
we are focusing on getting the basics right first. So growing a great product and processing that into a very high quality premium or super premium. Some of the claims in the market around super premium, organic and naturally processed concentrate. That is our first priority, and then from that we will go into the B2B market to start. And if we can sell everything to B2B, great. In year one, that would be fantastic.
Mhm.
However, we do want to pursue our sales license as well to be able to put product on shelf in a retailer. But we have no ambitions to be a retailer. We might
Gotcha.
have a small little experimental shop to learn from the local community, or to gain some insights from consumers. But for us, it's not about retailing. We want to produce a product that will be able to be used by ourselves, but also the wider industry. We'd love to partner with a local Yukon based health and wellness brand, beauty brand, or edibles manufacturer, or whatever. I think for us, it's about getting that quality product out that is going to be enjoyed and help people.
I think those are two words: help and enjoy.
Yeah,
A lot of people associate cannabis with potheads, like just smoking it up, being Cheech and Chong kind of attitude. Where cannabis is now being introduced. Look at the alcohol industry, how much money is made on making bottles pretty and stuff like that. But the alcohol is detrimental to the body, where CBD and some level of THC is
yeah,
applied in different areas. It is plant power.
yeah.
My
And,
wife is mostly vegan, so I hear about plant power all the time.
and the science of it is
Oh,
really
it's crazy.
and we're working with a chief scientist as well, that and it's a very exciting part of the brand story, looking at how to identify and create a measure of the efficacy of cannabis. So you buy a bottle of vodka and it says 40% on it. You
Yeah,
pretty
it's
much
true. Yeah.
know what that's going to do, right? That measure doesn't really exist in cannabis right now.
Oh
I mean,
no. Oh,
there's
okay.
levels of THC, milligrams per milliliter, and
Yeah,
whatever,
yeah.
things like that. But wow, one strain against a different strain against a different time of year that it was grown. I mean,
Oh my goodness. I was doing a little bit of research before our call, and oh my goodness, the name that these, the nightless horseman, or the headless horseman for this and this for that. And I'm like, oh, where, like, you gotta use a lot to come up with some of these names, I have to admit. So tell
I
me,
think, yeah,
being true to your brand, how do you demonstrate you're selling B2B? I can get organic, I can get naturally grown. How do you apply pioneer spirit to B2B sales? How do you do that?
yeah. Well, you're right. It's not the most obvious, but I think it's really about how are we going to identify and go after those companies that we think would benefit from buying our wholesale product. So we're not going to just go look at all the other LPs that are making edibles. We're gonna use our noggins and think, okay, well, where is this market going, and where are the exciting opportunities that we're seeing? And we're in conversations with a few labs right now that manufacture product,
Oh
and
yeah, because yeah.
some
So
of the
like
ideas are just
I
exciting. I think
I
it's
I
that, right?
I just got a visual. I got a visual of a Swiss Army knife, right? Talk about pioneering spirit. You got a Swiss Army knife. So you guys want to be the Swiss Army knife of phase two products. So where they come into you and they say, okay, well, I want to do this. Okay, great.
Yeah,
We've got naturally grown or organically grown, naturally processed cannabis extract. Here you go. Right. It's very multi-purpose. It's just like having your Swiss Army knife in your pocket for a lot of these, you know,
exactly. Yeah.
co-manufacturers, right?
And if we can find the right partners that are pioneering themselves, then they're going to be the perfect match for
It's
us.
true. Yeah, it's true. Pioneering also means like be the first up there, right?
Yeah,
So I don't know what we could that has not been already made? What could be already made that's not lollipops? No, sweet tarts.
Oh,
The list goes on.
exactly. It's endless. And I think it's really going to come down to regulations opening up more and more, and we're seeing that. We're seeing
Hmm.
the space that's hopefully going to really open up soon here, where you'll be on the shelves in the local supermarket, right? So you look to across the border to the US and see what's happening in California and so forth, and they've got an amazing array of products that are out available for everyday purchase. And we'll get there, and the pioneering companies are the ones that are going to make the most headway at first, and we hope to be right in there with them.
I can't I can't imagine, just thinking out loud here. I can't imagine. I think of all the Europeans that think of the Yukon. What they look at Disney where Scrooge McDuck made his fortune in the Yukon, right? So,
Yeah,
so it's big for them. So anything that comes to the Yukon will definitely trigger some emotion.
yeah.
If you get to sell in the if you get to
That
sell, I can just
international.
imagine chocolate with um, CBD or THC
Cobra.
organically grown in your right Yukon Gold in this. So I can you can definitely leverage that for sure. That's for sure.
Yeah,
Where do you see where do you see it going? Like in your title, it's very clear, Chief Marketing Officer. So you're thinking 12, 24 to 36 months down the road.
yeah,
Where's your brand? Or I shouldn't say that. Where's the brand loyalty in the cannabis industry? So lesson number, I don't know, what are we at, 4, 5, 6 now? For those people who are listening, chief means that you're pointing the needle. When
mm,
you're C-suite, you're looking down the road. So don't ever, take your title for granted. Make sure that you are pointing the ship in the right direction. So where do you see brand adoption, brand loyalty, and where do you see ArcticPharm in all of that in
yeah.
the coming years?
Sure. I think there's some pretty obvious areas where brand loyalty is going to start to take hold. If you look at beverages,
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah,
edibles, things that people, there's a certain taste, quality, and you're going to start getting to the masses then as well. You're not just talking about the terpenes on a smoke
yeah,
that
yeah. Haribo gummies. Oh my goodness, Haribo gummy bears. Oh,
I think we're going to start to see some of those brands making some headway, getting some shelf space, becoming a household term to a certain degree
hmm.
in the next couple of years. I don't think it's around the corner. It's not this year. And But for us, I think the where our if our brand was an ingredient brand, and we could be
Mm,
known as the ingredient brand for some cream or some that that's where again I start
that's
looking
good.
at my screen.
That's good.
If we're, powered by Arctic Farm, or you have
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I get you, man. Ingredient brand.
yeah,
That's genius, man. That's really good.
that would be amazing for us. But of course, we do want to have our own products as well. But I think
Yeah,
there's still a ways to go in that road in terms
yeah.
of the brand battle. I think we're a long way away from any one clear winner.
Mhm.
However, in that 2.0 space, I do think we'll start to see some shake out there, and some brands making some good headway in that space.
Consistency. All I can think of is Yukon Gold potatoes for Lay's chips. I mean, you talk about the nobody knows where the potatoes come from when you think about it, but I'm sure that potato farmer that sells the potatoes to Lay's, he's got a big ass house.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
it is. Yeah.
That's a
Well, and then,
great find your spot, right? It doesn't have to be from start to finish. Just find your
oh,
niche in that chain and just kick ass. Kick
exactly.
ass.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. So where do you see cannabis in 2 years from now, 2023?
That yeah, that I things are changing so fast in terms of consumer adoption.
Yeah, yeah.
My dad uses CBD now with a little bit of THC, and he never would have gone there 5 years ago. He uses it for pain, and we've heard so many great stories of the senior generation kind of picking up these products for pain relief, for sleep aid, etc.
Mhm.
And I think we're pretty close to uh, acceptance of the product in the
Mhm.
general marketplace. Only last year was still a bit of a stigma attached to cannabis, and there still is now.
I
But
still find it rude. I mean, I go walking with my kids and I still find it rude. People were I smoking cigarettes or cannabis on the trail.
yeah,
Regardless, it's the smoke that I find really
yeah, and
despicable.
I think that's gonna
Yeah,
you know go by the wayside like cigarettes have.
like vaping and
Really.
stuff like that. No, I agree. I agree. But the
So
use of gummies and or edibles in any way, shape, or form that you prefer, taste is, I guess, the secondary industry of research and development for tasting. Because trying to hide the taste of THC or
Mhm,
CBD
that's true.
might be complex as well.
It is, yeah, and then you got to get into advanced processing to get that out, and we're exploring all of that certainly, and we'll be doing that. But yeah, I think to come back to your question, I think it's only going to open up more. I think Canada's taken a good approach, slow, opening up of the regulated products,
Hmm.
but I think that's going to accelerate now. Now that we've kind of seen stability, we need to be breaking out into other uh, product groups, product categories to see where the real uptake of
Hmm.
this will come. You're only going to sell so much flour, and I think that is where 2 years from now it's going to be more commonplace to sit down and have a can of CBD drink, or to use a lozenge or a capsule painkiller instead
Hmm.
of a Tylenol, or other pharmaceutical chemical kind of
Hmm.
combination. So I think we're going to start to see that becoming just more kind of day to day products that your general consumer will accept, and that's to me where then the curve becomes infinite, if you will.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um,
I think if I circle back to being true to the brand,
mhm.
I think, as you mentioned, being a oh, now I forget, what did I
Ingredient
write?
brand.
Yeah, being an ingredient brand really defines you as your client is different. So your client has more purchasing power. You're looking at moving volume
Oh yeah.
instead of, you know, uh, winning the hearts and minds of users,
Yeah.
right? Where it's really saying, okay, so my clients now are co-manufacturers. They have clients of their own.
Yep.
So I'm going to make sure that I produce as the best kick-ass ingredient for them to use, like they're in anything they in any way, shape they do. So, and
Right.
then that opens up the market for them to be able to bump up, I shouldn't say bump up, but to sell it at the appropriate price for organically grown, naturally processed.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I said at the beginning there. We feel we can come out at a very competitive to non-organic, based on our operational capabilities up there. And hats
But
off.
also think about, I think about the mangoes I've had in Africa compared to the mangoes I eat here at the superstore. Like picked off, the first mango I ate in Africa, I started peeling it and everybody's looking at me, Mr. Martin, what are you doing? What do you mean what I'm doing? I'm peeling the mango. What do you think I'm doing?
Do you not feel it?
Like, what's this white guy doing? Right? What's this? So they grab it and it was so sun ripe that the skin was like the thickness of an apple. So
Right.
you don't necessarily peel ripping apples. You take it off the tree and you bite it. It's the same thing
Hmm,
because
okay.
it's been ripping,
Uh,
seasoned. It's
uh,
ripe from the sun. So I can just imagine the complexity that will come in those plants from not being UV light in the middle of winter. So you're doing it right then. I mean, all of your operations. So when we think about being true to the brand, is when you think about organically grown. So it's not done under light. It's not done in very pristine environment. You're talking about plants that are growing outside, exposed. I mean, I get how you guys can, because I think I was reading your process. You guys are going to start it, of course, in
Indoor.
in a indoor in a greenhouse,
Yeah.
but you're going to move them outside.
Oh yeah.
So I can just imagine the complexity that it has from being grown in the sun outside, rich in nutrient for the Tahini River. I mean, there's a lot of power in the story of the brand to be able to sell that. And even if it's not to the palate, then biologically, chemically, there will be differences in it. So I think it's a wise choice to associate some technical knowledge to your brand. So,
Agreed.
no, good job. I mean, we're at lesson what, 15 now? I mean, there's a lot of things to take out from our conversation to attach real live actions to your brand. So make sure where you sit, make sure that the code of conduct is there, that when you hire people, when you're talking about your business, what else did we come up? Find your niche that's attached to your brand, find your client, your ideal customer. Don't overextend yourself. My goodness, there's lots of lessons about being true to your brand.
And align around it, right? Ensure that your company is aligned around that brand view and values, right?
Yeah.
That's one of the first steps, I think, because otherwise you can be going off in different directions. So, and it may not be as like as magical as the North and the pioneering spirit. It might be simpler than that. Your brand values, it could be about cost, could be about many things. But I think just knowing what they are and sticking to them is
Mhm. That the one other company that I work with, there's another company called Alpha Foods that I work with, and one of their key brand promise was to be um, affordable. So they wanted to make plant-based food that is affordable for other
great.
people, because for a long time plant-based protein was not affordable, right? So convenient in access as well. So um, being true to that brand. So no, good. So Mike, when we talk about brand, being true to your brand, um, what's a good resource? Could be a video, could be a podcast, could be a book. What what do you have in the back of your mind or in your back pocket that when you think about being true to your brand, that you would point listeners to?
That's a good question.
Why,
Might
thank
have
you.
to come back to you on that one.
Oh, you can't leave people in suspense like this. So,
Blank.
what's one book throughout your career? So you've been at the top end in England. You've mastered a lot of marketing with some big ticket people. What's the one book? Quick, off the top of your head.
So I don't read those books, Mark. They're really a secret's out, but yeah, to me,
Leaders are readers. You don't believe in that.
I
Okay.
can't get
So
it.
what's the piece of advice? What's the one piece of advice that you can give our listeners? I mean, they've listened to you for the past 50 plus minutes here. You got to give them something, Mike.
I would say find your shared ideal. That's the starting point. So find and you draw heart, and one
Okay.
side is your customer, and one side is you. Your brand. So where do those things meet? Find your shared
Oh,
ideal.
okay.
And if you can do that, if you can find where that intersection is between your brand, your values, and your customers' needs and wants and desires, then you've got it figured out.
Okay. So where can people get a hold of you, Mike, if they want to talk to you and they want to find out more?
Yeah, sure. ArcticPharm, Michael at ArcticPharm.com. I'm available. I'd love to chat to anybody that wants to find out about the pioneering spirit of the Yukoners, or the future of cannabis for the farm. So
And when
yeah,
when you guys are gonna be putting products out, what after this season, after the growing season, eh?
yeah. I mean, it everything is license based in cannabis. So, we're pursuing our sales license next, and that might give us the ability to put products on the shelves the end of this next
Yeah.
this growing year. But it may stretch into the next.
Okay.
It all depends on how busy Health Canada is.
But I would assume if a co-manufacturing a lab CEO that's listening to this, or anybody from an organization that is a co-manufacturer,
Yeah.
to get a hold of you now to be
Yeah.
at the front list of getting a letter of intent, working together, so that when the product, there's no more conversations to be had. It's there, it's then, it's available to them for their products, right?
Got it. We're having those conversations now. So,
Okay.
I'll pick up the phone and get in touch with myself or anybody else, the farm, the CEO, or the president, and we can start conversations. I think that's not contingent on a sales license.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Once we're growing, we're able to sell to other LPs. So if you have your license and you're looking for an ingredient, high quality, premium, organic and naturally processed, then yeah, let's have a chat.
Cool. Fabulous. Well, thank you very much. Michael Austin here, Chief Marketing Officer at ArcticPharm in beautiful Whitehorse. Well, beautiful, depends on the time of year. It is beautiful, even in the wintertime. Check them out on Instagram. They're out on Instagram as well, out on LinkedIn. So thank you very much, Michael. Appreciate your time. Thank you, everybody. My name is Martin Hunter. I am the host of What CEOs Talk About, where we translate strategies into frontline operations. So thank you very much, everybody, and have a nice day.
Thanks for tuning in to What CEOs Talk About. Make sure to click subscribe to get notified about future episodes, or check us out at www.whatceostalkabout.com.